to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over Lightburn. Some of you may be just jumping over to Lightburn. Some of you may have Lightburn and just not know of most of or all of the functions. I'm here to show you the basic functions that you need to know getting into laser engraving. This is a very simple program to use. It's well worth the money, in my opinion. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set up your device. So you're going to connect it to your computer, click devices, you're going to go ahead and click find my laser, and then you can just click OK and it will search, and you just go through the steps, connect your laser. So I have two lasers on this computer. One is just a diode laser, and the other one is my little fiber laser that I have. They're both on the same table. So I use this computer with this Lightburn, and it's programmed for both of those. The GRBL, the Gerbil, is my diode, and then I have my presets for the 20-watt fiber laser. It's very important that when you're doing your project, you are on the correct settings here, because I will show you here in a little bit how they can get mixed up. So for the diode laser, you stay in the GRBL. Now you just need to realize that diode lasers, they work in inches per minute. You're not going to want to do inches per second. It's too much math, and fiber lasers do inches per second because they're way faster. So what I would do is I would go and I would make sure that you're set up in your laser as, so not machine settings, you want to go to device settings. This is where you set your laser up. So you can import it, make sure it's correct on here. This is the width of my diode laser, and then you just want to make sure that all of your stuff, like I have auto home, all of that is correct. Let's see here. You go over to additional settings. I don't touch these. You can click read from controller. Most of them are already set up the way you want to, or the way that it's supposed to be. And then I have air assist, so I always keep that on. Let's see here. My origin's obviously my bottom left, and this is all going to be good. Now, lasers work with vectors, mostly SVGs. They can do images and stuff like that, but it's mostly SVGs. A vector is a closed digital file like this, so it's an enclosed line. So let's see here. This is a circle. This was just out of the presets over here. Now say you wanted a coaster. So you're gonna take a circle, whatever shape your coaster is. Most of the coasters I know are either square or circle. Up here, this is the position. You don't have to mess with this. The width. So I have coasters that are, let's see, 3" by 3". This little lock sign, whatever you change this to, it auto scales the next one. So width and height. If you uncheck it, you can change this to 3 and the other one will stay 4. So you just have to change one when it's locked. Alright, we have a coaster here. Let's just say that this is your boundary. It might be a little bit bigger than 3 inches. You can also do an outline over here. So you can do the outline outwards, inwards, or you can do both. This is more for squares and other shapes that aren't circles. So we'll just do, let's just, 0.775 on the outside. So here is your coaster. Now, what it's going to do is if you just left it like this, it's only going to engrave between these two lines. So if you come up here to preview, you can invert it. The black is what it's engraving right here. So you want to make sure that when you're programming these things, if that's how you want it, then that's fine. If you do a third line, it will only do the between the two closed vectors. So these are the two closed vectors right here. This is not closed because these two are. And then you can do another one, however you want to do this. These are vectors, so now it'll show you the two lines. So it's engraving the white. If you switch it over, it's engraving the black. So just say you have a 3-inch coaster. You want to put something on it. Alright, so this could be, this is up here in our cuts and layers. This vector is set to layer 00. Down here, layer 00 is black. You can change that to blue, you can change that to red, and each one can be different up here. So let's just say we have an outline, and you want to change this outline to black. So when you're in fill mode, it's going to fill that vector. When you're in line mode, it's just going to trace that vector. And then offset fill, I don't really have much luck with offset fill on my diode laser, just simply because it is, the processing time, it takes like 10 minutes to process, and it's just a lot of jerky little movements, and I end up getting just like little minor defects in my projects. However, if we do line and line, it'll show us two lines. Now if we do fill and fill, so if we're going to fill the red, but we're going to just do a line here, all of this is going to get engraved. The entire inside of the red is going to get engraved. The black is going to just have a line. So if you show this, see how the entire inside is engraved and the outside is just a line. Let's see here. So say you don't want this to be a part of the engraving. You can come down here and they have two tool options. You have tool 1, tool 2. So you can have different tools. These will frame, but they will not engrave. So if you set this to tool 1, it will just, you have no layers set to output. This is not going to engrave. This is kind of just a boundary. So you can set this, you can click frame, it'll frame around it, kind of give you a basic guideline of to where your project's going to be. Now, say you want to engrave a vector. So we have art library, we have laser and material library down here in this window. Art library, you can import your own stuff. You can save them under different folders. I have a ton of them here. I do a lot of different engraving. Let's just say you wanted to do a vector like this. So you would take that vector, you would set it to the layer that you want. We'll just keep it as the layer's black. Now up here is group, and up here next to group is ungroup. If you ungroup it, you can click each individual vector. And then if we select them all again, that wasn't all of them, we can group them, and now if you go to click one vector, it highlights the entire thing. You can click shift on your keyboard and then click the vector that you want to center it to, and you can click this button up here. This is center, or you can click align to the left, align to the right, align center. This is just vertical, horizontally, and then you have the vertical, align to the top, align to the bottom, and then align center. This is good. It's good placement right here. What we'll do is, for a diode laser, my diode laser, it's a 40-watt laser. I don't like to go too hot, too slow, because it will burn the wood. In here you have, see these are all presets for my fiber laser. This is 3,600 inches per minute. We want to change that. I recommend doing a test run. My laser works pretty good at 75 and 40% power with my air assist on if I'm cutting. If I'm just engraving, I usually turn it off. And then you can do line, fill, or offset. So we're going to want fill with this one. Obviously, bidirectional fill, keep that on. I do not do crosshatch for my diode laser. My line intervals look good. I like to keep them about 350 to 400. So my scan angle, this is just the angle in which your diode moves. So over here it is 0 degrees, so it's going to move left and right. If I change that to 90 degrees, it's just going to move up and down. If I change that to 45 degrees, it's going to go diagonally in that 45 degree angle. And then if I do it obviously like 135 degrees, it just moves it diagonally in the opposite direction. Number of passes for fill, I'm only going to do one. Fill all shapes at once, fill all groups together, or fill shapes individually. I do fill groups together. Now groups are, say you have this, and then say you were running a batch of coasters. So up here you had a second coaster. So this is a group, because they're grouped up here in the top. This is its own thing, so the laser will come, it'll engrave this one, and then it'll come down and engrave this one. If we would have put this to fill all shapes at once, it would just start up here or down here and then make its way all the way up. So those settings look good. Let's see. Passes 1, I like to fill all groups together. In advanced, I don't usually do advanced. I do overscanning 2.5%. This is just, it's engraving. It's done engraving. It goes an extra 2.5% over and then starts back up again. Just makes the edges clear. There's not like those dark lines just along the edges here. Like it stops right here and then just immediately moves up a little bit, picks back up. It'll actually engrave, go over about 2.5%, move up, come back, start again. A lot of those problems you'll see, you'll have burnt edges of pieces. It's because you don't have your over scanning on. So if we go up here to preview, you're going to see the circle around it is not showing because it's a tool. This is a layer. It's black. We already have it set. It looks like it'll take us 12 minutes, 19 seconds. You can see we have 375 lines per inch. It's really hard to see that, but that's what it looks like. You get a nice little preview of how it is. We're at a 0 degree engraving angle. Now say you have a vector in your computer that you want to import. You're going to come up here, you're going to click this little paper with the arrow on it, and you're going to be able to import your own vector. It needs to be an SVG. Say it's a PNG. I actually think I have a PNG right here. It's my business logo. So say we want to engrave a PNG or a JPEG, we can do that. It's a little bit different, however, it's ultimately the same as well. Your layer is going to be set to an image. You can't change that. Your speed and your power are all going to determine how dark and crisp your image comes out. So the cleaner your picture, the better it's going to look. So this is a little bit grainy. This was just a trial logo I was working on. If we come up here to image, obviously 2,700 inches a minute is way too fast. I will probably set this to about 60 inches a minute, and then your max power. So this is the darkest parts of your image will be the highest power, and the lightest part of your image will be the lowest power. So I will set my max power to probably about 60%. I don't keep constant mode on. I don't do negative on this. Bidirectional scanning, yes. Overscanning is always on. Line intervals will be 450. DPI, scan angle will be 0. And then you can change your image modes here. So threshold, you can kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like down here. So threshold, you have ordered, and it's just tiny little dots there. You have Atkinson, which is the same thing. It's just a different sort of patterns. Dither. I usually stick with threshold, dither, or grayscale. Stucky sometimes works. It just depends on the logo. You're going to have to play around with it. Grayscale is pretty much just like there's no dots. It's just pure power. It doesn't turn on and off like it's showing you. This would probably look pretty good with, let's see. This would probably look good with dither or stucky. Let's see here. And then number of passes 1, fill groups together, obviously, and then we'll go, okay. So you can see here, let's see, so that might not look good actually. Let's change this to grayscale. You're gonna have to play around with this. It is possible to do pictures. Just might be how my file is right here. I highly recommend doing a bunch of testing. You're gonna need to test all the time. Every type of material you're gonna have to test just to kind of know what your power settings should be. So I don't really know if this picture right here would be high enough quality to engrave. I might have to do a little bit of editing on it to vectorize it. However, let's just say you have your image or vector file that you want to save for later. So rather than having to import it every time into Lightburn or whatever, you can come over here to Lightburn's art library. So the art library is basically just a folder on your computer where you're saving your Lightburn files that you can access in the app. So I have all of these different vector files. I have tons and tons of these. I've got a couple hundred of them in this, and then I have another folder that I haven't even imported in here yet from my other accounts. But let's just say you want to do a new folder. So you would click new, you'd go to download, or downloads. I would always go to desktop, save it on your desktop, and then name it like Lightburn Art Library, which is what this is. And then you're gonna it's gonna be a blank screen here. You're just gonna click this, or you can create like files, folders and stuff like that inside of it. But we'll just say you want to save this picture under whatever file name you have. You'll just come over here to import graphic from project. You'll be able to name it, let's just say logo, and now it's saved in here. So you can be going down looking for whatever you want. You go up to your little folder there and it's right there. Double click it and it imports it into your job. Let's see here, I don't want that in there, but okay, so that's kind of a crash course for diode lasers. I would recommend setting your laser up, coming up here to laser tools, going over here to material test. Now material test is going to give you a grid. You're not going to see it really on here, but you're going to get a grid. It's going to do however many counts you want, so 10 by 10, 20 by 20. I do 10 by 10. Parameter is going to be, the minimum is going to be 25. The max is going to be 100 inches a minute. Minimum power is going to be 10. Maximum power is going to be 100%. 5mm boxes by 5mm boxes. And then you're going to go ahead and just click frame. It'll frame it on your work, and you click start. It'll take about, I don't know, 20 minutes to half an hour. Watch it, because that 100% power at 10 speed is going to burn your material most likely. What I would do is I would do this on every piece of material that you're going to be engraving on. If you're able to. Every piece of wood is different. Every type of like aluminum or steel or whatever you're engraving on, I would do a material test. This works on both fiber, it works on CO2, it works on diode, it works on UV. Do a material test. This will give you a visual on how it turns out on the material. You can go through the lines and see, oh, 30% power at 60 inches a minute gives me the cleanest engraving. I like that one on this material, or however you want to do it. You can also do this with not filling. You can do the lines, so cutting out. So you can do a cut test, where it's just going to cut the squares instead of engrave them. That's pretty easy to do. Basically, you're just going to go into this. You're going to change this from fill to line, and just leave everything as it is. Click OK. And now it's going to do just cutting out the little squares, doing a line on the squares instead of filling them in completely. The text setting is basically, it's going to give you 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 next to each row, and then on the top is going to be like your power, so it'll be like 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, or so on. This is just the text setting, so this is what it's going to engrave. So change this to just the best estimate you can get. And then border setting. I usually don't enable the border. There's no point in it. Make sure you frame it onto your work, click start, and then it'll run. Now say you're going to work with a fiber laser. Come over here to your fiber laser settings, and one thing I didn't show you on the diode, but it kind of is the same here on fiber lasers, is you have the material library. So I have, let's see here, I'll just go down to my templates. I will grab my aluminum cards. These are my aluminum 3.4 by 2.1 inch aluminum business cards I do. You can just do, let's just do it like that. So right now, that's what it's engraving. We can come over here and click on our materials so far. So for my fiber laser, I have mostly metals and leather that I work with. I can go to aluminum cards. These are my card settings. And then this is just the settings I found have worked best with my fiber laser on my aluminum cards. It's a 20 watt fiber laser. I keep my speed at 40, power at 20, frequency at 20, bidirectional, crosshatch, 350, one pass. I do not have flood fill all shapes at once, and that's pretty much my entire setting. So that's what I will do. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to assign this to, if you find like, oh, on these handcuffs, this setting works best, you can assign that to this layer right here. So layer, whichever color you pick, I just keep using black, but you can, any of these can be assigned, and then when you open that up again, it'll just all be the same. So let's just say these are this is the aluminum card. It's a black aluminum card. I'm going to go in here, double check my settings are right, and then I'll click assign. So it's highlighted up here, this layer. I will click assign, and now this will be the settings my laser will engrave. So this should only take 10 seconds on my fiber laser for this business card. But the same thing that I showed you on the diode laser, it applies here. So let's just say you have two things on here that you want to engrave. So this will be layer 01. I'll get into that here in a minute. You can name them. I don't name them just because they change. I use them so much. Make sure that the presets are filled right. So then now I'm going to assign this layer right here, which is the moose wearing the sunglasses, with the same settings, and it automatically assigned it. So now come up here and I can see that it's going to take 16 seconds now. Now with layers, let's just say you have a layer here, you want to do a engrave and then like a cleanup pass or something like that. On the top page here in this cut setting editor, you have this plus icon. You can add a new tab to this. So the first set of engravings will be this fill 1 or 1 fill. The second one, you can change these settings to like 65 and 30 with a frequency of 50. And then you can change the line intervals 500, flood fill, or not flood fill, whichever you want, and then click save. Now it's a multi-layer engrave. You don't have to assign different layers, like different colors, and like oh, you don't have to copy this, make this blue, center this, make it all 2 separate layers. No, you don't have to do that. All you have to do is come in here, make 2 separate pages. It's going to go through its first cycle at 40 speed, 20 power. Then once that's done, it's going to go over to 2 fill, and it's going to speed 65, max power 30 with a frequency of 50, and so on. You can keep setting. You can set all you want on here. Just pay attention to the settings, know what you're doing, do your material test, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell for this. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a comment down below. Like the video and share it if you got anything out of this. I'm kind of new to this whole recording videos, but this has taken me years and years to find out and to kind of set up the way I wanted it, and I'm just trying to help you guys out, save you guys a month or 2 of learning on your own. If you found anything in this video interesting, again, please just drop a comment, like it, share it, subscribe to my channel. There's going to be plenty more videos where this came from. And I promise it'll get better as time goes. Alright guys, thanks. Have a great day.